Hello. Today we will be talking about the impact of technology on the gap between rich and poor countries. We will be exploring both positive and negative impacts these technologies have across these 7 categories. I am going to be talking about the educational effects of information technology, more specifically, over the past year. General learning platforms like Coursera and Khan Academy have shown a continuous rise in global enrollment, most notably strong growth in developing countries. Additionally, online learning tools such as Google Classroom allow students to access lessons from anywhere without the need of a physical institution. These platforms, paired with AI tools like Gemini or ChatGPT, have made high quality resources more accessible and available worldwide. However, this does come with a few caveats. AI has significant downsides to its implementation, especially in countries with lower wealth. When many institutions were surveyed as to why AI was not more utilized, many referenced a lack of clear strategy for implementation. Additionally, many poorer countries still lack stable internet access and related technologies. Thus, a greater divide becomes apparent in the percentage of people with any form of access to the technologies previously mentioned.
Recently, technology has changed people's personal lives everywhere. With more people in developing countries gaining access to the internet, their governments have noticed, forming online services and allowing people to pay income tax, file tax returns, and access government programs online. One of these is India's Aadhaar system, which has just added a function last November for citizens to update their demographic details online. Mobile banking, Mobile banking and remote work have also become more prominent in developing countries and people with low incomes, making it easier for people to pay bills, receive money, and increase savings. In developed countries, recent technology has had a significant impact on their social lives, where communicating virtually has become a straightforward way to communicate with others across long distances. Automation of tasks has also become a major influence on people in developed countries, such as robotic vacuums aiding in household chores. Along with positive changes, researchers suggest that illiteracy in developing countries is becoming an issue due to heavy AI use and video formatting content, which may reduce deep reading skills in developing regions. The infrastructure for recent technology in developing countries is also poor, causing relatively urban areas to spend more on Wi-Fi and power storage and not making this infrastructure accessible to rural areas, increasing the technological gap between the lives of urban and rural citizens. People in developed countries have also begun spending more time on social apps due to the integration of short-form content, causing addiction in some individuals. This has also reduced people's sleep duration due to the blue light from a screen and affecting people's attention spans due to the amount of short-form content they watch. Along with this, users who live in developed countries are forming privacy concerns because of information leaks that have occurred on platforms similar to what they use.
While technology reshapes our personal lives, it also reshapes the global economy. A developer in Lagos can work for a company in London, yet AI built in Silicon Valley is replacing outsourced jobs in developing countries. So is technology narrowing the gap between nations or widening it? Technology expands remote work and digital services exports, giving developing countries access to global markets. World Trade Organization research shows digital trade can grow faster than traditional trade with greater adoption. Fintech also improves financial inclusion, allowing small businesses to save, borrow, and compete. On the other hand, AI threatens key growth sectors. UN research suggests it could affect up to 40% of jobs globally, especially routine outsourcing work from less developed countries. At the same time, AI adoption is concentrated in wealthy nations, allowing them to capture most productivity gains. Technology creates opportunity, but without equal access to infrastructure, capital, and AI tools, many countries risk falling further behind. Technology reduces barriers, but only for those with access. Whether it narrows the global gap depends on who captures the value.
Over the past year, information technology has had a mixed impact on healthcare inequality between developed and developing countries. On the positive side, digital health technologies have expanded access to care in low-income regions. Telemedicine platforms, mobile health apps, and AI-assisted diagnostics have allowed patients in remote or underserved areas to consult doctors without traveling those long distances. For example, smartphone-based health services and cloud-hosted medical records have helped clinics in developing countries deliver faster diagnosis and improve disease monitoring. Additionally, global health organizations have used data analytics and AI tools to track disease outbreaks more efficiently, which is especially important in countries with limited healthcare infrastructure. However, Information technology has also widened the healthcare gap in several ways. Advanced technologies like AI-driven imaging systems, robotic surgery, and personalized medicine remain far more accessible in wealthy countries due to high costs, strong digital infrastructure, and skilled workforces. Many poorer countries still struggle with unreliable internet access, limited electricity, and a lack of trained professionals, making it difficult to fully adopt these technologies. The driving factor for this gap is the difference in budget for healthcare expenditures. Developed countries have significantly higher healthcare expenditure per capita compared to underdeveloped or developing countries.
And now I'll be discussing the positive and negative aspects of the impact of information technology on the research gap between rich and poor countries. Open source frameworks like PyTorch, ArcSiv, and generative AI have collapsed the cost of publishing research down to simply an internet connection, which have enabled these developed countries to build R&D momentum. As the chart shows, Cambodia at 10.4% and Burkina Faso at 6.8% rank them among the world's fastest growing R&D investors. And also, digital frameworks like the World Trade Organization's Enhanced Integrated Framework then uses online trade facilitation platforms to connect that research directly to global markets, bypassing the intermediaries that have historically captured most of the commercial value and allowed these LDCs to leapfrog stages of development. However, the same open access infrastructure enabling low-cost barrier research creates a critical vulnerability in data colonialism, where corporations harvest research data from LDCs, process it abroad, and own the resulting patents. It also drives a positive feedback loop. As LDCs lose ownership of their research output, they generate less domestic innovation value, which then in turn lowers the funding available for the next generation of R&D. And the patent chart makes this concrete, as no least developed countries appears in the top 10 origins for patents in 2024.
Environmental effects of information technology. Some positive effects of information technology on the environment are educational conservation importance and providing remote alternatives to work or healthcare, climate monitoring and early warning systems. And then a good example of this is Google's flood forecasting, which has saved over 43% of flood deaths in the last 5 years. Optimized agriculture and or fertilizing. A study from Cogent found that costs could be shut down by over 25% and pesticides could be decreased by 18%. Developed countries, smart grids and appliances save energy with AI. This can range from large-scale grids such as E.ON in Germany or just your regular smart thermostat. And big tech companies are investing heavily in renewable energy, mainly to support their new data centers for AI. Negative effects, e-waste is dumped disproportionately into developing nations, sometimes shipped illegally, like from the EU, where 350,000 tons a year are shipped into African nations. And there's a resource extraction burden on developing nations, usually because privatized corporations from developed nations own the actual land where the resources can be found. And the gap in accessibility, as you can see from the digital economy report in 2024, the world really increased in, and Western countries especially increased in devices per capita, but not the developing world. Energy and water costs for data centers are really high, and this affects developed countries as well. And there's a slowing of transitioning clean energy to meet data center requirements because clean energy just can't keep up with the infrastructure it currently has. So in places like the Midwest, new gas plants or gas pipelines are being opened by companies such as Entergy and iSource.
New information technology has had multiple effects on the workplace relating to the gap between rich and poor countries. In terms of closing the gap, recent IT has done three main things. First, IT gives many developing countries the opportunity for higher wages. For example, last year in Vietnam, jobs in the IT industry had the highest average salary with around 45 million Vietnamese dong per month. In other developing countries, the IT industry consistently pays more than the national average, offering a lucrative career path to help fight inequality. Secondly, through IT, citizens in poorer countries can access remote jobs outside of their local market to potentially earn more than they can domestically. Remote jobs continue to be on the rise today. Lastly, with IT, it's become easier to learn than ever. For example, online services like YouTube or Khan Academy offer free education and training, making it easier to get higher skilled and therefore higher paying roles. While IT has made some efforts to close the gap between rich and poor countries, it has mainly widened the gap overall. First, the aforementioned benefits really only apply to those who have access to the internet. Currently, more than 3 billion people do not have internet access, and these regions are mostly made up of poorer countries, allowing for richer countries to benefit more from IT. Secondly, but related, new IT and AI tools are often developed and adopted quicker in richer countries due to more advanced education and infrastructure, which allows them to benefit from new technology sooner than poorer countries. Lastly, innovations in automation disproportionately target jobs in poorer countries. This is because jobs like assembly, manufacturing, clerical work, and other high automation rich jobs are more present in poorer countries. Overall, all countries benefit from new IT. However, poorer countries often see less benefit than richer nations, ultimately widening the gap. In conclusion, IT impacts on the gap between rich and poor countries were examined across sectors including education, personal life, economics, healthcare, research, climate technologies, and the workplace. The impact of new information technology is mixed and varies across sectors, largely depending on access and implementation. Thank you very much for listening.